Hello! Welcome to episode 3 of Talk It with Brockett. It is just me today. I have no guest. I kind of wanted to have a solo session just to talk about some things. And today, I would like to talk about college. Primarily and specifically my college experience and what it has been like so far. For context, I'm a college senior. I am 21. I'm almost halfway through my senior year, and I go to Merrimack College, but I am from Connecticut, so I'm about 2.5 hours away from my hometown, so I'm a little far from home, so I definitely feel like the experiences I've had, I've really had to be on my own. And so just to kind of start off, before I got to college, I really felt like I was fed an ideal by a lot of people, that college was going to be so amazing and so fun and like nonstop fun, pretty much. And I think I thought this really because like my high school experience was pretty bad overall, I think I'd say. It was very different from, again, like what I thought it was going to be. I feel like we're just fed so many ideals about things, and then when you actually get there, you're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. You know, I had that about middle school, high school, college. And high school particularly is just a hard time, I think, for most people. I don't think that you're going to look at anybody and that they're going to say high school was the best 4 years of my life, and I wish that I could go back. If somebody's saying that, they peaked in high school, and that's not something you want to do because high school usually is just terrible. And I really, like, when I think back on high school, I can definitely think of like really good moments, but I also can think of really, really bad moments. And I think that was like most of it. It wasn't a good experience overall for me. Particularly my senior year of high school was one of the worst years of my life. It was a really, really hard and dark time for me. I felt really alone. A lot of things were happening kind of all at once. And so there was a time when I was a senior where I really just like was very, very uncertain about my future. And I did not know what I was going to do. In terms of college, I honestly in high school like just didn't even really think about it that much. I knew I wanted to go to college, but that was really it. If I were to redo it, I think I would have like looked at a lot of different schools and kind of decided like what was important to me, and what I wanted. I had some idea of what I wanted to do, but I ended up completely changing and like doing a full 360 once I like got to college. But I honestly, when I was in high school, I was so uncertain. I was like, I don't know. Like, I just want to go to a school. And I honestly thought that all schools were the same. Like, really being honest with you, I was like, they're all colleges. Like, what does it make which one I go to? And so my senior year, I met with my guidance counselor probably almost every day because I was really struggling. And we would talk about a lot of things. And sometimes we would talk about school, literally. And so she was like, you know, there's this school in Massachusetts. I had told her that I wanted to go to school in Massachusetts, that I could be close to my brother who lives in Boston. And she was like, you know, there's this school that I think you would do well at. She's like, it's called Merrimack, and I've had other students go there and they really liked it. And she said it's kind of a small school. It's like known for their small class sizes, which I think will be really helpful for you. And I looked at her dead in the face and I said, okay, I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. Like, I wasn't thinking about anything. And I had a portion of time where I think I wanted to go to UConn. Both my brothers went there. I feel like I was at UConn all the time, dropping them off, picking them up, moving them in, the this and that. But I don't think that would have been good for me, honestly. Like, I don't think that I would have done good in a absolutely massive campus like UConn is. Like, UConn is absolutely massive. I think I would have gotten swallowed. Also, I live in Connecticut, and UConn is like probably the biggest state school and extremely well known. So many kids from my high school went there. And I don't really want to be surrounded by like kids I went to high school with, no offense, because like I just kind of wanted to move on, especially after how horrible my senior year was. Like I really just wanted to like leave all of it behind me and move on. And that included the people too, at least most of them. Some of them I definitely like have friends from high school that like I'm cool with, that I hang out with and still see. But the vast majority of the kids, like I just really wanted to start my own life and like not have me like bump into them classes and whatever. So I just kind of pretty blindly committed to Merrimack, and I remember I went there for admitted students day, got a tour, whatever, and was like, this looks good. Like there just wasn't a lot of thought put into it. And of course I would change this now, but I just didn't really think about it. And my freshman year was definitely eventful, to say the least. My first semester, I was so overwhelmed by like how different college was, that I didn't really focus on school, unfortunately. And that got me in a bad place with grades, obviously, and with my academic standing. And the school was pretty much like, you have to fix this. They're like, we're going to give you one chance, but this is all you get. Like, you cannot mess up anymore. Like, you have to fix this. My parents were obviously very upset. And I did not do good my first semester at all. I think I failed 3 out of my 4 classes. Like, really, like, when I tell you I did bad, I did bad. Like, I bombed everything. And so obviously like this had to change, and I had to do a lot better. I had to actually study, and I had to commit to change. And I think the issue kind of was that my first semester of college, I was still really stuck in high school. And I think that I kind of just had this realization that I needed to change who I was. And kind of become a more responsible version of myself. And that's pretty much what I did. I became somebody who, like, I just calmed down, basically. And I really decided to focus very heavily on school. I wanted to make a decision about what I was going to major in, because I went into Merrimack as a psych major. And I thought that I was going to be a therapist. Because I think the reason why I wanted that so bad was because like my family is really, really like centered around psychology. My father is a neuropsychologist. My mother was a therapist for a lot of her life, and now she works as support staff in the Newtown School District, the Newtown, Connecticut School District. And she's a supportive character, but like definitely very focused on mental health. And my sister works as a marriage and family therapist as well. And so growing up, like I was surrounded with talks of like mental health language and all of that. And so I think that I kind of thought that like this is the natural path I want to go down. But then kind of when I got to school, I was like, I don't know if this is something I really want to do. Primarily because I really struggled in high school, like I said, and I kind of wanted to move on from that and like not have that be my whole career. So I started to get an interest in filming and digital media stuff, and I decided to switch my major to communications. But I did so much work in psychology, I wanted to kind of I didn't want to like throw that out the window, so I changed it to my minor. So I now am in comm and media, and I have a minor in psychology. But that was definitely like really, really stressful. I think it's really, really difficult when like you do not know what you want to do. I think that's really, really hard. And that's something that I struggled with for so long. Now I have a more clear picture of it, but that's very recent. As recently as like last semester, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I have one more year and then I'm out in the real world. What am I going to do? And I think that's something that I literally see with so many of my classmates is we don't know what we want to do. We don't know what we're going to do. And like I hear so many stories about kids graduating and then like not even using their degrees. And then it's like, what did I even do all this work for? And I just think it's so hard when you are 18, 19, like freshly out of high school. And it's like, okay, now you have to decide what you want to do. That was really, really stressful for me. And I just felt like I was alone I really did. Like, I feel like so much of college for me was like so lonely, with a lot of aspects of it. I feel like were really lonely. And so after I decided my major, things got a lot more clear for me academically. I really, really taught myself how to study, and like my second semester of freshman year went much better. I got very good grades, and I had a much more clear head going into sophomore year. And sophomore year, like, academically was great. Like, it was really good. Like, I did really, really good in my classes. I took a really hard psych class. I think it was psych inquiry and methodology, a writing intensive heavy course. We had to write like a 16-page paper, like research paper, pretty much. It was so hard, caused me so much stress, but I got through it. I ended up with a really good grade. I was really proud of myself. But other aspects in college, I felt like I was failing at. I felt like I didn't have friends. I just felt like I didn't have like a support group around me at college. And I was like, why don't I have this? I feel like everybody has like a big friend group. Why don't I have a big friend group? And I was in a situation where I was really unhappy with kind of like my living situation. And it kind of got really, really bad my sophomore year, to basically where I got into a really, really deep depression and really, really bad mental state. And that did not affect school for the sole reason that I literally used school as like a distraction and like a coping strategy. And that's a really good way, like, to use. That's a really good coping strategy, is like I just focused all of my energy on school. And every time I felt sad, I would just like focus on school, literally. And so I did very well. But mentally, I was so bad. I was calling my mom all the time, struggling, like begging to come home. Like, I felt by myself. I felt completely alone. And I remember sitting in my sophomore dorm room thinking, this is terrible. Like, I am suffering. This is not fun. Like, when is college going to be fun? And I just felt so alone. And I was like, everybody is having the best time. Everybody is doing what they want to do. And they're doing whatever they want, whenever they want, because it's college. They're with their friends. I was like, why don't I have this support group? And it was just really, really hard. And it was terrible. Sophomore year was another year of my life that was horrific and that I would just never want to repeat. It definitely taught me a lot, but I felt totally worn down as a person. I was like, I don't feel like I am okay. Like, this isn't fun. And I also really did not know how to stand up for myself. Definitely something that I really still struggle with. I think I really struggle with like confrontation and like telling people basically anything uncomfortable. I'm not good with. Really hard for me. Like, it's really hard for me to like disagree with people, stuff like that. Like, I hate when things are uncomfortable with people, especially people that I'm close with. So I think that was a really big issue, was that I was not really able to communicate. But I did try and I did attempt, but nothing really worked. And I kind of got to a point where I was like, I have to really get out of this situation. And I really cannot continue being in this housing situation. And I did not get out of it until mid-semester, junior year. So I lived about a year and a half in this situation, being really miserable and really upset basically all the time. And my friends and my family, noticed how much it wore me down and told me that I needed to get out of it. But the thing is, you can only do things when you're ready. And you can only make that step when you want to. And I didn't feel like I could for a long time because I couldn't really accept what was happening. And it was really, really hard for me for a really long time. But I will say that once I got out of it, it was great. And it was like a release, but still really stressful. And again, I remember thinking, when is college going to be fun? Like, when am I going to feel like I'm having the best time of my life all the time? Because I felt like that was all I heard growing up. College is the best 4 years of your life. I wish I could go back to college. I would go to college every single day for the rest of my life. And I'm like, what colleges are these people going to? What experience do these people have? What's wrong with me that I got this horrible college experience where I feel worthless every single day? And I just can't emphasize like how lonely of a feeling that was. And I feel like I just want to, like, now being a senior and having most of college behind me, I feel like it's important to say that you will have other experiences in your life that are better than college. And I feel like I can see that so much more clearly now. I am now in a much better place. I feel like I do have a really strong support system. I feel like I know what I want to do finally in my career. And I feel like I'm at a somewhat stable place. Is everything perfect? No. Are the things that I wish were different? Yes. But overall, I'm doing much better than I was. And the point that I'm really trying to make is that it does get better. And it doesn't matter how it gets better. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you for things to get better. But things will eventually get better. And I definitely feel like the whole experience made me stronger and made me value myself more and say, you know what? I am going to stand up for myself and I'm going to be strong. And now I feel like if I was in another situation like that, I would be able to better handle it. And I feel like college taught me that. And that was one of the biggest things that college taught me was stand up for yourself, you know? And also, you are going to have more experiences than this. And so if you are in college right now and just not having a good time, just know that there will be other experiences that you will have that will be better. I think that this whole ideal of college probably came from me watching my siblings. For context, I have 3 older siblings, much older than me. My sister is 31 and we have a 9-year age gap. My brother is 28 and my other brother is 25. And I kind of grew up like in elementary school and middle school watching them go to college and like watching them have these experiences and like watching them have so much fun. And I thought that like their experiences were perfect and that they had so much fun. But I think the reality was I was so young, I didn't see or understand the difficulties that they went through. For example, my sister, she went to the University of Rhode Island. And I was in, I think like 3rd grade when she went to college. It was like 2013. And I obviously am not going to understand anything that she's going through. But I remember like my mom telling me like your sister did struggle in college, because I was like, as I was kind of getting older, I just like would tell my mom like everything is perfect with her. Like it's perfect. But I think it's because you don't see things and maybe you're too young to understand that like you don't get, there's more than maybe what you might like initially see. And you're not always going to get the full picture from like, you're not always going to get the full picture. And I think that's really important. Like an important life lesson to keep in mind is that like, you don't know what other people are going through. You don't know what other people are facing. And I hate social media for this reason. I'm going to say that right now. I hate social media for so many reasons, but I think that's the biggest one, is that I am constantly comparing myself and my experiences to other people on social media. And it's not real. Social media is not real. You are watching someone's highlight reel. And over half of the time, you don't know what's going on behind these photos. You don't know what's going on behind these videos. You do not understand what other people are going through. And so I think a really big lesson is don't base your own life off of what you see on social media and what other people's experiences that you think you have. And so my sister struggled in college. And I think all of my siblings had points where they struggled in college, but I didn't necessarily see it or really understand it the way that I do now. And I was talking to my mom about this pretty recently, and she was telling me, like, none of your siblings would say that college was the best 4 years of their life. And now thinking about it, my sister, again, went to University of Rhode Island and definitely had some tough years and definitely had some tough situations with friends. And I do remember her crying to my parents and crying when she was home and crying when we picked her up about it. That I remember. And now my sister is extremely successful. She married a family therapist and she's married. She's newly married. And I would say that honestly, knowing my sister, I would say that now is probably the best time of her life. And she's 31. And so I think that it's really important to obviously enjoy the time that you're in now. I'm not saying that college is all bad. I've definitely had really fun experiences in college, but don't go into it with this mindset of this is the only thing in my life that is good and everything after this is going to be terrible, because that's not true. You will have more experiences that will be better than this. You will do it. You will make more friends. You will have more experiences, meet more people in general than you do in college. And so I'm not even all the way done with college yet, but I'm trying to kind of keep my mindset open. And I have accepted that these 3.5 years have been really tough. But I could appreciate the lessons that I've learned from it. And I'm going to use these lessons to apply in my later life and have really good experiences. And I think that that is mostly what it has taught me. And it's don't listen to what other people say also, because you are your own separate person and you are going to have your own separate experiences. I think that's important. And so that's all I have for today. I hope that was insightful, and I will see you next week. I will be here with a guest. And so that's all I have for you today. But thank you so much for listening.